Hello everyone. So our today's topic is related to multiprocessor systems. So we are going to discuss about what is a multi-core system and what is a multiprocessor, how multiprocessor systems are different from multi-core systems. So we are going to just discuss about that. So let me firstly tell you about multiprocessor systems. So there are different type of multiprocessor systems. So firstly, we are going to talk about the shared memory multiprocessor systems. Now, what is it? In shared memory multiprocessor systems, we use a same memory, but we have different CPUs to execute the data. So what in this case is we will be having separate CPUs and all those CPUs will be using a single memory. So this is how multiprocessor systems with shared memory work. So they all use virtual address space to connect with the memory and use it for reading and writing the data from one PC to another. Like one CPU, like CPU 1 can store the data on memory which can be read by CPU 2 or CPU 3. So multiple processor systems interact with each other to share the data as well, whereas they can also execute their own data. They have their own registers, they have their own small memories, whereas the main memory is shared among the different CPUs. This is a multiprocessor architecture. So there are two different types of multiprocessor systems which we have. We broadly divided into symmetric and asymmetric. In symmetric multiprocessors, the processors which we have, they all have the same uh, operating system in it, which they can communicate with each other. And all the processors are having a peer-to-peer relationship, means there is no senior or master relationship between the processors. So all the processors are same, there is no master, no slave relationship. Now, there is a example for this. There is a multi-max computer, which is also known as symmetric multiprocessor. After this, we have the second type, which is a asymmetric system. In this, every processor is having its own task, which is a predefined task, and there is a processor known as master processor, and rest are working as slave. So, which means the master is having higher priority, and according to that master processor, others will be assigned with different tasks. Now, this is a little bit cheap in price. So these are some of the options which people follow. Like they have different type of processors, and they all are in the master and slave relationship. So master assigns the task to the slave, and it does that processing. What are the advantages? Let us talk about the different advantages which we have. These are more reliable. They are more fast. They are cheap. Not cheap, we can say. Like if you compare it with your normal computer, they are quite expensive. But if you are talking in the sense of servers or the areas in which these type of processors are used, so that is a little bit cheap, or you can say cost effective. So these are more reliable systems. So what does it mean? Even if one processor is not going to work properly, then other four will be overtaking the process, and still it will be little bit slower, but it will keep on working. So it will not stop at all. So second is enhanced throughput. If multiple processors are working at a single on a single process, so they tend to resolve the instructions, or it tends to solve those instructions quite fast. So its total throughput will be quite high. Then when we talk about multiprocessors, they are cheaper than single processor systems in the long run, but they share the data storage, peripheral devices, and power supplies in that case. Now, why they are saying they are cheaper? Like if we have like just take an example that we are having four CPUs in a single system. If there are four CPUs in a single system, and they are sharing all the resources like the data storage and your input output devices. All those devices are being shared by all these CPUs. So they are going to use a single physical resource for data storage and input output. And how many processors are there? Four. Instead of this, if we are having a single PC with a single processor, one processor in it, a single processor, and we have four such processors or four such systems, so they will require four devices for data storage and four devices for input output. So that is why they are saying it is cheaper. But if we compare the total cost of one such a CPU with with a CPU which is having a one processor and a CPU which is having four processors on it, so then the cost is higher on this end. So four CPUs processor will be quite costly as compared to a single processor system. But in the long run, if we discuss about the input output devices or the data storage devices, then it is little bit cheap. Now, after this, what are the disadvantages? So disadvantages, as we have discussed, that they are quite expensive when we talk about this price comparison in this way. Like there are four CPUs in one processor, but the physical processor is one only, so then its cost is higher. Then the second problem is we can't work with a normal operating system. We need to design complex operating systems which are going to work with multiple number of processors, and they are able to distribute the load among four different CPUs. Then that is a second disadvantage of using multiprocessor system. And the third thing is it requires a large memory. So like in this case, in if it is a one processor and it requires 2 GB of RAM, it will work fine. But if there are four processors in one system, then it will at least need 8 GB of RAM, because only a single processor will require 2 GB of RAM. So that is why we need to have a larger pool of memory required. So that is another problem which we have with multiprocessor systems. Now, this was about multiprocessor systems. Now, you might be confused with another term which is currently not mentioned at this place. So, how it is different and what is the difference between this multiprocessor system and the systems which you are using right now? So, the systems which we are using, they are not multi-processor. They are multi-core systems. So, there is a difference between multi-core and multi-processor systems. Now, what is the difference? The basic working which you are talking, that remains same in the case of multiprocessor as well as in the case of multi-core systems, but there is a very huge physical difference between multiprocessor and multi-core systems. When we talk about a multiprocessor system, let me just tell you about multiprocessor system first. So when we talk about a multiprocessor system, this is CPU 1, physical CPU. This is CPU 2, this is CPU 3, this is CPU 4. So we have different CPUs, and these CPUs might have separate memory. Like there will be like four are there. This is 1 GB slot, 2 GB, 3 GB, so and so on. So there are separate memories for them. This is a multi-processor system. This is a multi-processor system. Whereas when we talk about a multi-core system, multi-core. Now, the devices which we are using, they are multi-core. So in multi-core, what we have a single physical CPU This is one CPU, and on that CPU we have different cores. This can be core 1, core 2, core 3, core 4. But physically it is a single processor. This is one processor. So that is what we have, a difference between multi-core and multi-processor system. In multi-core, you might have different size of memory. Memories might be there, but the number of cores which we have, they are located on a single CPU or on a single uh, physical device. But in the case of multi-processor systems, the CPUs are different. Now, you might be having a question that we haven't seen this kind of a setup. We have not seen this kind of a setup. All the setups which we have seen are this, right? Like they are multi-core, whether you talk about i3, i5, i7, Ryzen, or any processor like which we are using right now in your basic computers, whether it is a laptop of around 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh or any cost. So you will not see multi-processor system, you will see multi-core system. It might be i7, it might be using Ryzen, it might be any other, but they are multi-core, they are not multi-processor. Now, why it is like this, there might be multiple reasons behind it. First one is the performance of multi-core is good, it is not bad at all. Multiprocessor systems are used where you need a lot of processing power, and the systems which we refer or which we use, they are known as PC, that is personal computer. Now, even though personal computers are now becoming very capable, they are very uh, fast to process the data, but still they are a personal computers. They are not a device to be installed inside our rack to process the data. It is still a personal computer device. So this is one of the reason why we are using multi-core. Second thing is the form factor. What I have observed, that is form factor. Now form factor means when you want to use a computer at your home or on a laptop or on a mobile phone, so you need to have a smaller size of that. So if we are having smaller size, it would be better to use a device which is manageable in size. Like it starts from the CPU. If CPU is smaller, then we are able to have a small form factor, like it will be smaller in size. Whereas in the case of multi-processor systems, this, if the number of processors are more, it will require more amount of memory. If there is more memory required, it will require more amount of RAM as well inside a single system. If we need more RAM, the size will be huge. That is the another problem which we have with multi-processor systems. Now, let me just take some time and show you what are multi-processor systems. So let us search one thing, multi-processor motherboards. These are not the motherboards which you will see in your normal computers or in your normal laptops. It is not something like that, but we have number of such options available. So you can see these are something which are used inside the inside the servers. They are not used on normal laptops or mobile phones. It is not used in that way. So let me just take some time to show you. So this is one of the processor which I was talking. So you can see there are four different CPUs, and each CPU is having its own dedicated memory. So this is having its own memory, this is having its own memory, This is having its own memory. So all are having different slot for their memories. So don't think that it is just a kind of photoshopped thing, but it is actually present. So there are certain CPUs in which we are able to have multiple number of CPUs installed and multiple memories to be installed. And this all system which we are talking, they are not used in your personal computers. They are used in the servers. Now, this is one more example of the same. So there are four or five slots, not five, there are seven slots for this memory, and this one is sharing the same slots, and it might have two or three memories with it. So there are different SATA ports for every for the motherboard. So this is something which is available. So you can purchase one, but it will not be used for a normal CPU or normal work. It is something which is going to be used for a very heavy task, or you can say it will be used in the servers instead of using it on a regular computer. They will be used for servers. So there are some other solutions available as well. So you can see there are server racks which are there, and there are separate number of CPUs. So now you can check this as well. So there are four CPUs on it. So this is the integrated board for this server, and there are four different processors. First one, second, third, and fourth. So it varies from server to server and from requirement to requirement that what kind of CPUs do you need. Now this is one system which is having eight CPUs in it. So it is not a eight core system. It is a CPU with eight processors on it. Okay. So there are eight processors like one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So each of the rack is having one single server on it. So this is another type. You can have different type of servers with different type of CPUs or different number of CPUs on it. And generally, what I have seen was maximum up to four CPUs on a single board. That is what it is available. And most of the servers which you talk in your university as well, or in the rack servers, mostly we have multiple CPUs. Instead of having multiple cores, we have multiple CPUs in it. But when you now this is all about what we have in the servers. If we talk about the processors or the laptops which we use, we will never see multi processor system. We will see a multi core system, whether it is i7 or i9 whatsoever you check. They all are multi core systems. If you check it, you can see i9 processor. There are cores, 10 cores, different cores, which means on a single computer. So what it means, on a single CPU, on a single physical device, this is a processor. On this single processor, you will have 10 different cores. Core 1, Core 2, Core 3, Core 4, Core 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 different cores, but on a single processor. This is a single processor. Now, how it is possible to have a single processor with 10 cores? It is possible if we reduce the size of the core. So that is what they are doing. Every time whenever you go for a new technology, you will be able to see that they are reducing the size of their cores. They are going to reduce the size of their code so that they can integrate more number of cores on a single chip. So this is what they have done. So you can see this 20 MB Intel Smart Cache, 10 cores, 20 threads. Threads are just, it is a single core is having two threads in it. 4.60 gigahertz maximum turbo frequency which it is having. So there are different generations of it. There are different type of processors which we are having. How they are responding to it, everything is different. Now you can see you can prepare a i5 processor in this much cost, like 34,000. You can have a complete system at this price, whereas on the other end you will get a single processor at this price. The features are more, as the features are increasing, their actual implementation is also increasing. So like they are going to use Optane memory. So what we are doing currently when we talk about these kind of systems, we purchase a i5 or i7 computer but with a hard disk drive. So that is not going to affect your performance. If you want to increase the performance of your computer, you need to work on all the levels. So just by increasing the CPU number of cores or number of uh, everything like memory access and everything, you are not going to get a high speed. For that you need to work on all the aspects of your processor. So this is something related to what is the difference between multi-core and multi-processor systems. So now let us go to the next part. So this is uh, all about the coupling of processors, how processors are attached with each other, how they are integrated with each other, how do they work. So the coupling of processors, there are two types in it. First one is a tightly coupled system. Second one is a loosely coupled system. Now, what is the difference between tightly coupled and loosely coupled systems? If all the processors are there and they are using a shared memory, like all are using same memory, then it is a tightly coupled system. Okay. So if all of them are sharing a single memory, then it is a coupled system. If they are synchronizing with each other by using separate memories, so they are, this is having a separate memory, this CPU is having its own memory, this is having its own memory, this is having its own memory, all are having their own memories. But like, I will just take an example like this. So both are, all the four are having their own memories, but when they want to communicate with each other, they share or they transfer messages with each other. They share messages. So this is a message with which it will be able to interact with the other CPU. Instead of sharing, instead of working on a single memory, they have their own separate memories, but when they want to communicate with each other, they use messages. Now this is similar to what we have in different systems. Like instead of using a multi-processor system, if we use a single processor system, but we have four such systems, like I have one CPU, one one computer, I'm having a second computer, third and fourth. If I share a data between all of them by using a RJ45 cable, then it is also known as a loosely coupled system. Okay. So this is, if they all are having their separate memories, everything is separate, and they are just working or they are synchronizing with each other by using messages, then it is a loosely coupled system. And what is the problem with this? The biggest problem is the traffic over the link. Like once they are sharing the data, there is a additional processing required. If you want to send any message over the line or over the network, you firstly need to prepare a package for it. You need to prepare that packet which is going to be sent through the network, because you are going to send the data over the network. It is not that you can randomly send the bits. You need to firstly create that packet Once the packet is created, you should have a source address, you should have a destination address to transfer the messages from one CPU to another. So there are number of things which are required, and it increases the overhead of these systems. So that is why it becomes very difficult to talk with each other. And the second thing is, in loosely coupled systems, distributed memory is there, which we have already discussed. So all are having separate memories, but they have to talk with each other in a synchronized fashion, which is not that much possible. Like, if I am having this CPU, its clock cycles will be different. If I am having this CPU, its clock cycles will be different. But if I want them to interact properly, I need to have a scheme which will be sharing the data with a synchronized fashion. So that is what we need. After this, the next thing which we are going to cover, that is the interconnection structure. Now, when we are having multi-processor systems, how they might be connected with each other. Now, I am not talking about a single or a loosely coupled system. We are talking about any of such kind of a setup. If there is a message passing, how they will talk with each other, how the processors are going to interact with each other, that is what we are going to cover, and we will do it in our next class. Thank you everyone, thank you so much for your time.